Gang, let's talk for a moment about scattering and diffusion and how it's going to relate to wireless frequencies. Well, you remember that if you've got a solid surface, you're going to have problems like absorption. And if you have a reflective surface, then that's going to cause the signal to reflect and may cause multipath issues as well as simply not receiving the intended signal. There's another issue that is similar but different to both of these, and that is the scattering and diffusion issue. This is when we deal with microparticles. Sounds exciting, right? What are we talking about? Let's say a dust cloud, or literally a cloud, or humidity, or fog, dealing with small particles that are in the midst of our wave of electromagnetic signal that's being sent from source to destination. Well, what can happen is as these signals are being transmitted here, we may get reflection, but not in any kind of a consistent way. Because all these signals are at different places. They're typically moving around as they're kind of floating there in that whatever kind of cloud it is. And so we end up with sometimes a little bit of absorption, sometimes a little bit of reflection. Our amplitude in general will go down, and reflection will often happen in various different degrees. This doesn't, if I have an 802.11 AC, this is not going to be something where multipath can work for me because it's never consistent. So scattering is a really big issue. And here's a situation where you may not consider it happening. You don't think of these as microparticles, but think about what happens when wireless outdoors has to move through something like trees or bushes. You've got all these leaves in the wind, they're kind of shaking around. It essentially is a nebulous cloud, and you cannot consistently expect any particular point of that to remain in a fixed position. So you end up with all sorts of different types of signals going through it. Now, you'll notice that it says here that it affects shorter wavelengths more than long ones, and here's why. Longer wavelengths tend to have more penetrative power. Shorter wavelengths have less penetrative power. Remember, longer wavelengths can typically go a greater distance, right, at the lower frequencies, and they are less affected actually by absorption of materials. And that includes what's going on here in a scattering and diffusion scenario as well. So again, in general, what's going to happen with your signal when there's a cloud or trees or something like that in between here and there, it doesn't help it, it hurts it. And the reason why is this scattering and diffusion effect.